We all need that community. Being alone, where you're not having people share with you or help you carry the load, is a recipe for disaster. I'm not ashamed to tell people that I have struggled with fear. Still do sometimes. I have struggled with anxiety. I have struggled with imposter syndrome. I'm better now. Imposter syndrome, where I would feel like, okay, why am I here? I can't do this. I wouldn't raise my hands for opportunity. Though if somebody put an opportunity in front of me, I would not take the promotion of the opportunity. Don't give up on life. Don't give up on your dream. Don't give up on where you're going, because there is a plan and there is a purpose, and you are a person of value.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chatting with the Experts TV show hosted by moi, Paula Okonneh. Every week, I bring to you amazing women from Africa and the Caribbean, and also from the diaspora. And these women share with you such wonderful nuggets so that at the end of the show, you would have learned something new. You would be inspired by what you heard and be encouraged. Today's no exception. So today I'm going to be talking to an amazing woman. Her name is Olabisi Oshikanlu, and she is a Nigerian-Grenadian physician. She's also a John Maxwell leadership coach, and she's going to be inspiring women to greatness in every season of life. Also, a dynamic and inspiring leader. She's renowned for her multifaceted approach to personal and professional development. And she's also the founder of Full Hands Venture, which leverages her diverse roles as a mother, a physician, an entrepreneur, and Maxwell Leadership Certified Speaker and Coach. There's so much to say about her. So why don't I let her tell us more about herself? Welcome, Olabisi, to Chatting with the Experts.
Hello, Paula, and to the listening audience. Thank you so much for having me here today. It is indeed an honor. Thank you. Looking forward to our discussion.
So am I. And I know many others who have heard about you, because I've been advertising this, of course, are also looking forward to our discussion today. So the title of this episode is to inspire women to greatness in every aspect of life. Tell us more about that. Why that topic? Tell us more about you before we delve into that topic.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd love to talk a little bit about myself. So as you mentioned, I'm Olabisi Oshikanlu, originally from Nigeria in West Africa. My father was a Nigerian, he's deceased, and my mom is from Grenada. And I did live in Grenada for a couple of years, so yay. I'm a woman of faith, and I mentioned that, and I lead with that every time I open my mouth to speak, because it's really important to me. My faith in Jesus Christ is important. I believe that's why I am where I am today and who I am today. And I've leveraged that to excel in all the things that I've done. I'm a mom of married adult son. I'm an entrepreneur. I was in private practice as a pediatrician, had my own private practice. I own real estate. I'm a physician, as I mentioned earlier. And more than anything, I'm someone of value. I add value to people, and I value people. So I act as a cheerleader for people. I'm a John Maxwell certified coach, trainer, and speaker. And my passion is to inspire people to unleash their potential. And for people who feel that they've reached their potential but are struggling in certain areas, helping them to understand how it is to thrive wherever they are, personally and professionally, and helping them to turn their dreams into a reality.
I love that about turning your dreams into a reality. Tell me how you go about that, turning your dreams into a reality? Because we're all born with dreams and aspirations, but sometimes they're not fulfilled. So tell me how you inspire women in particular, because we're talking about women, to make their dreams become reality.
Yes, that is an awesome question. Growing up in art class, we would be asked to color like a square or circle. And if you strayed outside of the circle or the box, the teacher would say, no, color within the box. And that was good then. But now, as I think about it as an adult, I realize that that was the beginning of telling people you can't dream. Because we all have dreams. But when people keep telling you, you can't do this or don't do that, and I'm not talking about the fact that we shouldn't have boundaries or we shouldn't have rules, but those no's begin to cause people to walk in fear and to quash their dreams. And what I do and what I believe is that everyone has a right to be great. And I put with an acronym, and I change the acronym all the time. I change it all the time. And the first word in that acronym for great is grow. Helping people who are aspiring leaders or helping people who are in leadership positions to fly. And when I say fly, it means first lead yourself. So allowing people to understand that the way to be great and the way is to, first of all, deal with you. Start with, who am I? Who am I? What is my purpose? Because only after you answer that can you move forward. As a leader, because if you have not led yourself or you don't even know who you are, how can you lead other people and how can you influence other people?
So true. I like that question. Who are you? Because until you know who you are, you can't lead, as you say, you can't lead anybody, because who are you leading when you can't even lead yourself? So I love that. Okay. So how do you inspire people to, or encourage people to find out who they are? Is there process? Is there, I mean, what would you encourage people to do to find out who they are?
That's it. Love that too. So when you are, first of all, come to the awareness that you have to lead yourself and you're not blaming everybody else or like, oh, I'm this because this person didn't do this, or my mother wasn't there. And I watch TV occasionally or on social media, people are blaming their parents for who they are, who they are not. But you have to ask yourself, what is my purpose?
Yes.
What is my purpose? What is my assignment? Why was I put on this earth? And you mentioned something when we started the show about different seasons in life. And that question is a question we have to ask ourselves in every season, because with the seasons, just as the seasons change, things are going to change. But that fundamental question, what is my purpose, is something that doesn't change. So what is my purpose? Miles Monroe, of blessed memory, used to always say, if you don't know the purpose of a thing, then abuse is inevitable.
Yes.
And abuse is the abnormal use. And it applies to us too. It applies to us as individuals. It applies to us when we're leading teams. So when you say, okay, what is my purpose? You begin to think about what are your skills and what are your values? And your skills could be, do I have leadership skills? Do I have problem solving skills? Do I have time management skills? Am I an effective communicator? I've tapped into that, and that's why I'm doing what I do. So like every area, I'm a physician, I'm an entrepreneur. Now I speak, I coach, I train. And that's because I asked myself those questions. People kept telling me, you're good at speaking, you're good at empowering people. So I understand that my skill set, one of my skill sets is effective communication and inspiring people and organization. And then when you talk about your skills, what are your values? Because your skills will get you to the top, but they won't keep you at the top.
So true.
Values, I feel like saying amen. But your values and your skills will get you to the top and keep you there. And what are your values? Things like courage, being authentic, showing up as the real person, not being A today and B tomorrow. Self-awareness, humility, courage, compassion.
Compassion is a
Yes.
big part, a big thing, especially as you mentioned earlier, you're a woman of faith. And as I'm a woman of faith as well. And as a woman of faith, where compassion comes in is when we realize that we're reflecting who God is, who Christ is. Because you can have all these other skills and all these values. And I know I'm focusing on compassion, but when you don't have compassion, you can't even see beyond the person's pain, that there's a person there.
Exactly. John Maxwell, who's my mentor, I'm a John Maxwell certified coach, talks about the 5 levels of leadership. Again, leadership is influence. And the first level is position. And when we look at what we're even talking about today, about being great and walking in one's greatness, knowing who you are is the first step. And it's just like, okay, so I know my position, right? My first level. He doesn't put it in that, but I'm framing it this way for this conversation. And then when you think about compassion, the next level of leadership is the relationship, people phase. So compassion, you cannot lead if you're not compassionate. If you don't have a relationship with the people around you, if the people around you can't relate to you. I heard someone on a podcast a couple of days ago say something and it really blessed me. And this is what he said. He said, a lot of times we hire people and we're wanting them to give us their hand. But what we have to do is key into their heart. When you key into their heart, the compassion, the empathy, the empowerment, then you work on their mind, because that works on their mind. So their mindset shift. And they don't look at what they're doing for you as a job anymore. They look at it from the heart position. This is mine. They're stakeholders and they take ownership and then they give you their hand. And so that's what compassion is.
And I can understand why, that when you heard it, it meant so much to you, because a lot of organizations are realizing that their workers, their employees are more than just, as you say, the hands. They're not just machines, in other words, and I'll come to that later. But they're individuals with feelings. And, if you've got a healthy employee, most likely it's going to affect your bottom line, because you're going to have someone who's not just here to do the work, but they're here to do the work because they realize that's empowering them and empowering others. So, yeah.
Exactly. So they come because they have a want to, not because they have to.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, most organizations, prior to this, a couple of years ago, organizations felt that the things that we're talking about, the compassion and the empathy, that they were fruitful. There were not things to be reckoned with. But as you mentioned, these things affect your bottom line. I'll give you an example, a personal example. I work for a managed care organization, a Fortune 700 is what they call the organization. I can't call their name online because it's not related to work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I have a boss, my senior medical director, who is retired now, influenced me tremendously. He was kind, he was smart, he was compassionate. And when I first got to the job, I did the job because I was at one of my paycheck and I wanted to do the work. But later on, I would stay past closing to do the work. I would double up on work because I just loved this man. Not a male, female love or that type of love, but I loved what he represented and how he managed it. And his team, our team, performed consistently well. Our bottom line was good. The ROI on our team, for our team, was great. So it affects every aspect of not just our personal life. Personally, I was also happy because you spend 8 hours of your day on a job. So you want to be happy. And so being great encompasses all of it. We cannot really compartmentalize our lives.
I love that example. And I love the fact that you personalized it because it shows. I mean, even I met you, I know you, and the BC I saw, there was a change, a noticeable change. Thanks for explaining part of the reason that I saw that. All right. We're talking about G, the acronym GREAT, but you're on the letter G, which is grow. And you've told us so much. Is there anything extra, anything more that you could share?
More on the growth? Yeah, there's more. But let me stay on G before I move to R.
Okay.
So with the G, because we want also, I'd love for your audience to leave here with actionable items. So having the skill set is important. Having the values is important. You can't do one without the other. They're both important as we've determined. So your character and your skill set. That's what people want in life from you. That's what your employer wants. But also having a plan. So how do you do this? Coming up with a plan. Predetermine the need. Once you know your purpose, so what's the need? What's the need in my personal life? What's the need on my job? So predetermining the need. Lay out your goal. I always tell people, begin with the end in mind. Where am I going? What is my wish? What is the opportunity that all these things present? We're doing what we do because there's the opportunities, whether in life, whether with our children, whatever it is, what's the opportunity? What's the obstacle? What are the obstacles in the way? What hindering me from, and then coming up with a plan. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. And if you need to make adjustment, you'll make adjustment. And it eliminates worry about my status or the status of things, and it helps me to move along that ladder of position to people, to results, to getting results. Because then when you're sure of who you are and you know who you are, then if your boss comes with something or things change in life, you have that confidence and that courage to move forward. And then I'll go to the R.
No, if there's more, please tell us more. I mean, leave anything out.
Oh, great. We're talking about the acronym GREAT. Like I said, I change it all the time. That way people. So the R is just restarting and resetting and refocusing. And you know me personally, my life, oh my God. And for immigrants, especially since we're talking to immigrants, I grew up in Nigeria. I was born somewhere else, grew up in Nigeria, moved to Grenada, and then lived, and now I currently live in the US, and I've lived in so many different states. And what that had done in the different seasons in my life, I have had to hit the reset button. Oh my God, have I had to hit the reset button? I had to refocus. I had to start from the beginning. When I left Nigeria, I had graduated as a medical doctor. When I got to Grenada, I was taking this exam so I could be certified in the United States to work as a resident, to study as a resident. It was a restart and it was humbling. I had to move. I moved from having my own home to living with my grandmother in one room in the house there. But I again began with the end in mind. I knew where I was going. I wanted to do residency. I wanted to be able to raise my then 3-year-old, now 38-year-old son with me. Oh, and you know him, right? I wanted to do all those things. So I had to keep hitting, refocus, and reset. And that for women, that's very important. We might have people who are listening today who have gone through a divorce, have probably some type of illness, some type of loss that is causing them to say, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like they'll say, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But I'm here to tell you that, or on a job, you lost your job, or you're in a job and you're struggling, there's always an answer. And it's really just about refreshing our mindset and regaining focus and being able to embrace new beginnings and seeing fresh starts as opportunities. I have a coach and he says, no is next opportunity.
No is next opportunity.
So no is not a no. No is not a failure. No is the term. next opportunity.
Next opportunity. Because I've also, someone on my show also talked about fail, which is first attempt in learning. So I've learned something new today from you. No is next opportunity. Wow. Yes, I love it.
Yeah. And then the E, we talked about it already, is to be energized and to empower. Again, remember I said that what people of value, I say that to myself all the time. I'm a person of value. I value people and I add value to people. And I want to say something. Joe Smyer always says, hurting people hurt people. And a lot of times I've found, even on our job, that person who is being mean is not trying to devalue you. They feel devalued or not valued. So that's why you're getting the pushback. And it might not necessarily always be the case, but being able to just step back and say, what's going on here? And giving that person grace, nourishing yourself and nourishing that other person, leaning into your strength and looking at areas where other people are weak to say, okay, I'm strong at this. I will help them do this. Or if you're leading a team, getting people together who have different strengths and allowing people to have a voice, to grow space. There's a buzzword now, psychological safety, allow people to grow space to speak and to give feedback. And so that's important. And as a physician, I'm going to give this prescription. I like giving prescriptions wherever I go now. As a physician, I'm going to give a prescription, and it's taking care of your mental, physical, and emotional health. Very important, especially for us as women.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so happy that we live in an era now, a time now where mental health doesn't carry as much stigma as it did some years ago. And people are beginning to equate the importance with physical health. You know, for a long time, they were on par. They were, one was elevated above the other. So if you had diabetes and you went to the doctor and you were treated for that, you're a physician, so you know more about that than I do. You will be treated differently than if I was, battling depression. I know, just saying I'm just not feeling okay and I couldn't pinpoint it. They're like, something's wrong with her. The person who had the physical ailment was regarded as being, not more sick, but there was a difference that society gave to the person who was physically ill than to the one who was mentally ill. And they're both very important.
They are. And that's why I think it's important for us to speak up as women leaders or people who are on the front lines, who are visible on radio, on TV, on social media, to speak about mental health and to be vulnerable and open about our own struggle. I'm not ashamed to tell people that I have struggled with fear. Still do sometimes. I have struggled with anxiety. I have struggled with imposter syndrome. I'm better now. Imposter syndrome, where I would feel like, okay, why am I here? I can't do this. I wouldn't raise my hands for opportunity. If somebody put an opportunity in front of me, I would not take the promotion of the opportunity. And this was after I'd owned my own practice and I'd done major things, but because I was in a different, same field but different industry, I didn't feel secure. And so it's important to have mentors. First of all, discuss this mental health issues, not be ashamed, get help if you need help, therapy, whatever it takes, medication, if you need to be on medication. And a lot of employers in the US have employee assistance program, I think is what it's called, EAP, where if you're having challenges, mental health challenges, you can go and you'll get some free counseling or therapy sessions. So there are a lot of resources out there that I can share with you later on, to right here in the States or even online, that we can share with your listening audience. So yeah, mental, physical, and emotional health is really important.
I'd love
It's
for you
important
to,
to,
sorry, go ahead.
no, that's good.
No, I was saying I'd love for you to share some of those resources. I mean, this is a good place people are listening in. And for those who will probably listen later on, the resources live online for a long time. And some people are not as open to being vulnerable. So if it is possible for you to share right now, if not, we put it in the show notes. Yeah.
There's an association called NAMI, if you want to Google it. I can't remember the acronym, but National Association for Mental Health, I think, but it's called NAMI, NAMI. And if you go on that website, there's lots of resources for people who are dealing with depression, resources not only for the person, for the individual, but even for caretakers. Because a lot of times we forget that the caretakers carry a lot of the burden and they're under a lot of pressure. So that would be a good site to go to.
Thank you so much for sharing that. There's something else you touched on before you go on to the next letter, that you talked about giving grace to people. Can you elaborate on that? Because that's becoming a word I'm hearing often, but people have different ways of looking at it. And again, because we're Christian, grace means something else to us. So how can we, as employers, give grace to others, or as an employee, receive the grace? Because, you know, some people don't even know how to receive grace.
I think a big thing, and this just comes to my mind, is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. I really believe that if we follow that foundational rule, and I believe that rule is not just in Christianity, but in religions across the board, and I don't know much about other religions, but it's just a basic human rule. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you. That's what I call grace. Even with my employer, being able to say, okay, and I do this a lot, I'm at the ground level. I look at it at ground level, mid-level, and then the pinnacle. I'm at the ground level. I can't see like an eagle. An eagle can see what's going on from above. But when you're at the ground level, you can only see what's in front of you. Actually, you told somebody this yesterday. I'm so pumped that we're talking about this. I actually told somebody this yesterday. She was complaining about her boss, complaining about the organization, complaining about everything. And I said to her, well, you don't know what is happening to this person behind closed doors. She can't defend you because this is coming from above and there's a lot of pressure right now. So that's what's filtering down. So it's giving people grace, putting yourself in the other person's shoes, and vice versa, as the leader or who's giving the feedback and as the receiver. I think it's just a two-way street. I think if we just follow that rule, things will work out better. Because then you're saying, okay, like this lady yesterday, we were able to say, okay, yes, now that she's become the boss, she's doing this and this and such and such and such. And when she was with us, she wasn't doing that. But things have changed. She has other people she's reporting to. There's a lot of pressure because of finances. So maybe if I'm nice to her, I'll ask her, how's your day going? What's going on with you? We'll see that she's under a lot of pressure as well. She's nervous about this new role. She's just learning this new role. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Another thing I've learned along this journey of life is also to meet people where they are. You know, yes, do unto others as you'd like them to do unto you. Yes, but also do unto others as they would like to be done unto. What does this person like? How can I avoid doing the things that irritate or annoy or, you know, in some way doesn't go with their personality? And to love them that way. You know, that's been helpful to me.
It does. It does. Dale Carnegie in his book says, do not criticize, complain, or condemn. And I've been saying that. I actually saw somebody post that on Facebook the other day, and I was like, yeah, that's my mantra. Do not criticize. It's hard. Oh, Paula, it is really hard, but we just have to keep working.
Yes. Okay. You got me really pumped up. We've done G, we've done R, we've done E. What's A about?
So A is being agile or flexible. It means that, so when you're agile, it means you're able to not change like a chameleon, but continually improve, staying flexible, adapting to changes. If you're on a job, how do you know that things change nowadays? That so many things are changing, the Instagram, computer. We've been able to say, okay, I need this for this job. I need this for this assignment. Being able to look at data to improve performance if you're in an industry. Receiving and giving feedback, like we just talked about. Being able to give positive feedback and being able to receive feedback. That goes back to the psychological state that we're talking about.
Yes.
If you're not able to receive feedback, then you're not going to be able to get better. One of the things that I do after I've spoken somewhere or I've coached somebody, tell me, people if you want to tell me what worked, I say to them, tell me what didn't work. Before I couldn't do that. This is something new for me. Now I'm able to say that and so pinch me a little bit, as we say in Nigeria, pinch me, you know.
That's right.
But which means it hurts me a little bit when they tell me the truth about me. But it helped me to foster and to create a culture of continuous learning. So I'm growing and I'm getting greater and greater and greater. And then being able to embrace stretch assignments. Stretch assignments are those assignments where you may be somewhere like when I first started talking on shows and on the radio, it was a stretch assignment for me because I was afraid to sit in front of the camera. I didn't know what to do. Now I find that my heart doesn't beat so fast.
Yes.
It still beats, but it doesn't beat so fast. So I'm getting better and better. So the people that we call superstars at one point in time were people who were rookies. But we see them as superstars now because they practiced and practiced and practiced, and they've been agile and they've been flexible. And like, you know, like I forgot what they call it here in America. We call it plasticine when we were growing up. That dough.
Play-Doh, isn't it?
Play-Doh. So you could see the African and Great West Indian audience. My African is coming out. Play-Doh.
I know what you mean.
Being like Play-Doh. We still have our core values, right? We talked about earlier. We still have our core values. Our core values don't change. And that's why it's important to have that core value at the start. We still have our core values. But sometimes the methods, things we need to do will change with our core value. So if somebody comes tell me to lie, I'm not going to lie. But if there's a way to do a certain project that will make it faster and better and will increase our return on investment, then but I'm not going to change my core value of integrity. So embracing those stretch assignments and creating a culture of continuous learning. So being agile is the A. And then the T is tenacity.
Tenacity. Yeah.
Tenacity. We are just like a dog with a bone. I'm not giving up. Quitting is not an option.
How can quitting be an option when you have that core value, when you know who you are? You know, you hold because you believe in yourself, you believe in, you know, the purpose, and you know what your purpose is, and so you're holding on because you plan on accomplishing it.
Exactly. And you believe in the God who put that purpose in you.
Yes.
So for me, I would say I can do all things through Christ.
Amen.
And I holding on for dear life that I'm like, oh, different all things through Christ. Can I share a quick story?
Yes, we do have time for that.
So when talking about being great, as you know, I got divorced a couple of years ago. I think probably about 20 years ago now, or 25. And at the time, I remember I had moved from Nigeria to Grenada. Mm-hmm. And divorce in our culture is not looked on. You know, I had a big F on my head, F for failure. And I remember I would say there was a scripture that that I would read all the time where it says, I will restore all the years that a locust and the cankerworm has stolen. And I remember I would say over and over again, oh my God, how could I ever do this? How can you restore all those lost years and all the things that I've left behind, my family, people, things, having to start all over again, restarting, refocusing? It looked impossible. It really looked impossible. But it was that having that grit, knowing purpose, having people around me, just embracing failure as an opportunity, as a next opportunity, celebrating the little successes that I had, and being thankful for the things that I had, being thankful for someone like you who, as a friend, would come over and drive me around the island and encourage me. And in every season of my life, that's my divorce that I talked about, but in every season of my life, even at the time of success, even when I had my private practice, and even now, there have been times when I've wanted to give up. But going back to that place to say, I'm not giving up. I almost want to cry just talking about this. But I'm not giving up. I'm holding on. And for your listening audience, don't give up. Don't give up on life. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on where you're going. Because there is a plan and there is a purpose. And you are a person of value. And there are people around. Tenacity also speaks to community. Because a lot of times we want to do life alone. But you can't do life alone. We all need that tribe. We all need that community. And being alone, and I'm not talking about being alone, not having a man, being alone where you're not having people share with you or help you carry the load is a recipe for disaster. Yes. The recipe for disaster.
Olabisi, I want to thank you for sharing that story. I've known you, but I also want to say that you sharing that story, I think, is an example of many times when you see people, you don't always know what's happening in their lives, because anyone seeing you in those years always saw a bright, smiling face, and they didn't know that you were struggling with fear, you were struggling with, self-doubt, you were struggling with feeling that you were a failure. They wouldn't know that. And that's it. And look at you today. Another thing I want to say to my listening audience is that as Christians, we sometimes go through tough times. I believe firmly that God allows these tough times for a purpose, so that when we do emerge, people can see, oh, the hand of God was upon him or her, and they can learn. And sometimes just seeing you emerge and give them hope. He allows things for a reason. I wouldn't have known you if I hadn't stopped briefly to attend your wedding. Or I wouldn't have known you too if I hadn't been in Grenada at that time. And our friendship has continued through all of these years, through the ups and the downs. And I always admired you. And so your life story and your life has been a testimony to me too. So thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you. And thank you for being my friend and for being there for me at my most vulnerable moment. And I pray that everyone has a friend like you.
Now you want to make me cry.
Don't cry.
And so because this is a show in which we encourage women to listen in and they learn and get inspired and are educated, and you've done all three. Well, let me see, where can people find you online if they just want to connect with you or talk with you?
I can be reached at Full Hand Ventures. So the email address is fullhand, FULLHANDSD @gmail.com. My Instagram handle is Olabisi, OLABISI _OSH. I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on LinkedIn as Olabisi Oshikanlu, MD, MBA, CP. Has all those long degrees that I have behind my name. But if you put in Olabisi Oshikanlu, MD, you'll get me, because there is another Olabisi Oshikanlu who's the doctor.
Ah, okay.
My brother-in-law.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Look at that. All right. And for those of you who have listened to this show and been inspired, and if you would like to be chatting with the expert, you can reach out to me on my website, which is chattingwiththeexperts.com. You can also reach me on LinkedIn. I love being on LinkedIn. Just look for Paula Okonneh there. I'm on Instagram, and my handle there is at chat_experts_podcast. And I'm on Facebook. Again, look for Paula Okonneh there. Olabisi, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks to the listening audience.
Wow, you blessed me. You blessed others as well. Thank you.